Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Just a quick little tribute to another one of our fallen musical greats. We've just lost one of the legendary British bluesmen of all time, if not the number one, the big kahuna. John Mayall passed away on July 22nd, just a couple days ago, at age 90. Born November 29th, 1933 in Macclesfield, Cheshire, England. Was currently living in California when he passed. A guy that's kind of done it all, right? I mean, along with like Graham Bond and Alexis Corner, one of those legendary British blues music figures who throughout the 60s and 70s, 80s, I mean, just this guy was playing music up until the end, but more importantly, along with guys like Miles Davis or Frank Zappa, I mean, you look at these British blues legends, and especially Mayall, as a guy who not only, vocalist, guitarist, keyboard player, harmonica, would regularly bring in sidemen and bandmates who were young and unknown and teach them all they needed to know about how to play this thing called the blues, and then launch them out into the world to become household names. That's what was always so great about John Mayall, is like he allowed this platform for great musicians to come in and out of his bands over the years, and helped him create magic, but then going on and doing their own magic, right? There's something to be said. I've always found and had a lot of respect for these legends who did that, who wasn't always about themselves. It's like, yeah, it's my band, and yeah, I'm gonna, write and decide the music and all that sort of thing, but I want to bring people in that can help me to create my musical vision, but then I want them to go out and make a name for themselves out there. I always love that. I always really respect and I'm gravitated towards a lot of musicians over the years who have done that, who have just kind of brought in great players and made them household names and let them go and do their own thing. It's right. It's like every great parent or mentor would do, and that's John Mayall was all about that. So again, a recording career that goes way, way back. Right, so if you look at his discography, right, there's the John Mayall, the Blues Breakers, right? That's the big band, right? That's his band, and it doesn't get much better than the Beano album, otherwise known as John Mayall and the Blues Breakers with Eric Clapton, all the way back in 1966. One of the most important guitar albums, let alone electric blues albums of the 60s. And this is the album that really made Eric Clapton kind of a household name. Sure, he was in the Yardbirds, but it wasn't until the Blues Breakers album, and then, of course, Cream, where the legend of Eric Clapton and all that he could do within this kind of blues and blues rock framework really came through. I mean, this album is just littered with sizzling playing. Of course, Clapton wouldn't stay with John all that long. He, of course, like I said, he's got bigger fish to fry. He's going to go off to Cream, and then, of course, Blind Faith, and then Derek and the Dominoes, and solo career, all that. But it's right here where kind of this all began, and I think that not only did Clapton make a name for himself, but I think this is where all of a sudden John Mayall and the Blues Breakers became kind of like the band on the British electric blues and blues rock spectrum, right? So, of course, we got that. And then, Clapton leaves. Oh, no, my God, it's terrible. But John was like, all right, we're going to find another young upstart. And, of course, who does he get? Peter Green. Because then we've got, of course, A Hard Road coming hot on the heels there. This young guy, Peter Green, of course, many know, shortly thereafter, founded Fleetwood Mac, alongside, John McVie and Mick Fleetwood. John McVie's on this album as well, right? So you got all these players that just kind of there, and we got Crusade, and you got Mick Taylor coming in shortly thereafter, right? Of course, because then Mick Taylor was the next big guy after Peter Green. Then he went off to join the Rolling Stones. We've got, of course, Crusade was 1967. You got the Blues Alone, also in 67. Bare Wires, right, 1968. Again, kind of got this psychedelic look here. But this here, Mick Taylor's on this album, and you got this mix of like original songs and standards and things like that. This is a great album because it's mostly all original. We got the big long suite title track, really cool stuff. You've got Blues from Laurel Canyon, 1968. This great output during this time period. And of course, we've got Back to the Roots. Here we go, moving into the 70s. And it doesn't end there. I mean, he's got, I don't know exactly how many albums. He's got live and studio albums all the way up to The Sun is Shining Down, which is 2022. And he has been recording quite often, throughout the 2000s. There was a gap between 2009 and 2014, but otherwise, Mayall was still pumping out music, still doing the occasional live performance, and a regular the music scene really all the way up to the end. But and there's no shortage of live stuff. I mean, if you want like one of the quintessential, I mean, it's the favorite one that I have. I have this one here, John Mayall's Blues Breakers live in 1967. Never heard before live performances. I think this came out in 2015. And this, of course, is the band. This is Mayall on vocals, organ and harmonica, Peter Green guitar, John McVie on bass, and Mick Fleetwood on drums. So basically, this is what helped launch Fleetwood Mac. At this point in time, those three guys were like, all right, we're going to go form our own band, and Mayall would just go put together another band, right? Mick Taylor, yeah, come on in, right? And it's interesting because always Mayall, more known as a rhythm guitar player, he was more apt to invite other lead players into his band, but he was a very capable player. Of course, played the harmonica, sang in a very unique vocal style, played all sorts of keyboards, piano and organ and whatnot. Just a all-around blues man who just lived, ate, and breathed the blues, and that's what he was all about. And like I said, if you were to go take a look at the who's who of everybody who has played with John Mayall over the years, it's just ridiculous. All the different, because you'll go up and down the list and you'll be like, oh, that guy, wow, they play with John Mayall. I mean, all these folks. Walter Trout is another guy who played with John Mayall quite a bit, and I actually saw a nice little tribute from Walter this morning because John was basically Walter's mentor, and I know how close they were, and so and even if like you didn't get to actually work with the man, how many were actually influenced by his music and the albums that he was on and whatnot. And it's crazy when you think about it. So, the end of an era. But, boy, he lived a really long life. He lives a huge legacy of music behind him. And, I'll be going and playing my John Mayall and the Blues Breaker stuff today in memory of him. And all the great music, all the great players. And, basically think of all the bands in that kind of British blues boom of that. Those are like probably 5-6 years. The Blues Breakers, like I said, you had Graham Bond, the organization, Alexis Corner, and then you had Fleetwood Mac and Chicken Shack, and you guess you can kind of throw Cream in there, sort of. Jethro Tull. 10 years after, right? All these blues rock bands that kind of came, blues rock bands that came in the wake of what Mayall and the Blues Breakers were doing. It's pretty incredible when you look at it. So, he's going to be missed, but he lived a really long life, and I think he's got quite the legacy that he's left behind that we can all enjoy for all the rest of our lives. So, rest in peace. John Mayall leaves us on July 22nd. 2024 at the age of 90. Go out and celebrate his life and his career and his music by playing some classic Blues Breakers or any of the more recent John Mayall stuff. And he's up there playing with all the greats. Him and Peter are playing together once again. I know it. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together all the damn time. Thanks for watching. I'm Pete Pardo. Take care. Bye-bye.